going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Rakundu coming back at you with another video. So guys, today we're going to talk about the release of Frank Darby and the signing of Bless Austin, cornerback from the New York Jets. We'll talk about both those guys, the roster moves the Atlanta Falcons have made, and we'll get into the 13th practice for the Atlanta Falcons during this training camp. So guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know that I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So guys, Mr. Positivity, Mr. Locker Room Guy, Mr. Keep Everybody Motivated, always happy, Frank Darby has been released. A guy that I felt that definitely had a chance to, to make some noise this season. The first two seasons, all positive, good energy and things like that, could never make the roster. But this was one of the years I thought that maybe Frank Darby definitely had a chance. Had a lot of splash plays in training camp and had a good upward trajectory. Looked like he might have a chance to make the team because the things he's able to do with special teams as well. However, Frank Darby took an injury in Friday night preseason game with a hamstring strain, and guys, when you're at the bottom of the roster and your competition and you take an injury, it's just bad luck. Unfortunate for Frank Darby that he won't be able to continue to compete and try to make get a roster spot with this team. However, Frank Darby, if he clears waiver, might have a chance to come back with the Atlanta Falcons on the injury reserve if they decide to do that. So if not, best luck to Frank Darby. A guy that everybody loved to have in the locker room, to have around. That energy just contagious, and he's probably going to be missed a little bit. I can say that, especially in that wide receiver room. So guys, also the Atlanta Falcons decided to sign cornerback Bless Austin, guy who was drafted back in 2019 by the New York Jets. Actually had 17 starts. A bigger corner. He's 6'1", loves to get his hand on the ball, aggressive, has 8 deflections during that time. So coming into a deep defensive backfield, a room already, but with guys taking injury, guys like a Cardinal Armstrong, of course Jeff Okudah, Clark Phillip just coming back, that will have a chance to compete. Probably got some guys that soar as well from Friday night game. So Bless Austin definitely gonna get his opportunity. Yes, he's a little bit behind the power curve coming in with this team, but does have familiarity with some of the coaches. Worked out for the team, early in the offseason. So they like what they seen, and they decided to bring Bless Austin in to that deep defensive backfield room. Now, the Atlanta Falcons did decide to make a injury settlement with wide receiver Chris Blair as well. He was already on the injury reserve list, but taking an injury settlement, so good luck to Chris Blair as well, and Frank Darby, and welcome to the Atlanta Falcons, Bless Austin. So guys, with that being said, the Atlanta Falcons continue to make roster moves. That's what we have today. We'll see if they decide to make any more, before practice tomorrow, or you just never know about these Atlanta Falcons guys, because especially guys that's down in the bubble that was really, really close anyway. That injury kind of just helped them make a decision and bring in another guy to compete. Now, another guy that went down today that I have been talking about that was, really had this flash this off season, and I really haven't heard his name a lot, and that's Ade Ogundeji. He was carted off today. Don't know the extent of the injury, but if it's anything that's long term, Ogundeji could be a guy that they might want to consider letting go, depending on where they had him at. We don't know what he's been showing on film, what he showed on film on Friday, but with this deep defensive line, outside linebacker that we have, Ogundeji could definitely be a guy that if he take an injury that could be, long term, you could see him maybe hit the waiver wire as well. So we'll just have to see about that. So guys, let's get into training camp 13 for these Atlanta Falcons. Of course, with a mixture of game 1 of the preseason and guys still, feeling that game. So they decide to have a little shorter practice today, because you're trying not to overwork your main guys. That's the importance of this 90-man roster. You're trying to get everybody reps because you want to be able to give guys fair shot and opportunities to show what they'll be able to do. But you don't want to work your guys, your main guys, as many reps as well, because they got to get ready for the long 17-game season. So you got to be smart about it. So they had a shorter practice today. They were in pads 11 on 11, and this is where this time you start to see some of the roster start to shape. I probably would say that Atlanta Falcons probably have about 46 roster spots left. Already decided. So those 7 spots are where you still got guys competing, probably in the receiver room and in that defensive backfield that I just talked about. A lot of guys: Penny Hart, Xavier Malone, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Josh Ali, who definitely need to, make up for himself. Those guys still competing. Then in the defensive backfield, you got guys like Darren Hall, Connor Armstrong, Natron Brooks, Clark Phillips, Trey Flowers, Mike Hughes, Breon Borders, and Lucas Dennis. Of course, we just added Bless Austin. You still got D. Alford, who I think maybe solidified himself as especially the punt returner and could be the slot slot cornerback as well. Of course, I did mention AJ Terrell and Jeff Okudah. We know those guys are locked. So those 2 positions I feel probably still up for competition. The swing tackle position is definitely still out there in flux. We got a report that Jalen Mayfield was moved over to left tackle. Of course, he played right tackle in the preseason game. Left tackle. Can he be that swing tackle, for these Atlanta Falcons? Man, God, I hope not, because I don't know. Tyler Bray was another guy that they're trying to try out at tackle as well. But you got to be able to do multiple things. If you're going to be that third tackle, you need to be able to play and fill in either on the left or the right side. So that's why Jalen Mayfield is getting opportunity. If anything, I could see Atlanta Falcons maybe going out and get a veteran guy to come in and be that swing tackle, because that is real scary. If you recall, they did have Jermaine Fady here, and we that was one of the questions we was going to see, could we find out in the training camp. And going into the second preseason game, it still seems like they have not solidified a guy that they want to be that swing tackle. So that position is definitely still in flux. It seemed like the left guard position, it seemed like Matthew Bergeron has probably solidified himself there, because Matt Hennessy has still been out with injury. This also is the second day Drew Dahlman has not been there. So Ryan Newsell's been filling in as that center for us. Veteran guy that's been in the program a couple of years with the Atlanta Falcons. But between the swing tackle position, that center position, looking at the offensive line, you may start to see a little concerns with depth at that position. At that position, the offensive line. So long as our 5 guys stay healthy, we're good. But if one of those guys go down, then we start to worry about the depth at offensive line. Talking about the defensive front, we heard from reporters today that the starting defensive front was pretty good. They had Calais Campbell, David Amayada, Grady Jarrett, and Bud Dupree starting in that 4-man front. That's pretty solid defensive front, and Bud Dupree could come back and show anything that he showed, especially when he had those double-digit sacks with Pittsburgh a couple of years ago before he took an injury. That's going to be awesome. We know what to expect from guys like Calais, David, and Grady. but if Bud Dupree can definitely, get back to his form, which that's what he wants to do, because he just signed a 1-year contract, so he can actually get paid next season. Then you got guys like Lorenzo Carter, Armor Ebiketie backing up, Taquan Graham, Timothy Horn, who flashed in that first preseason game, right? Huggins, another guy that flashed. So all these guys, that defensive front is deep. That's why I mentioned a guy like Ade Okundeji that's really going to be struggling. Don't want to forget about the young rookie, Zach Harrison, as well. So the defensive front is forming up. But that's not an issue that we got, the depth there. Like I said, the really were the big concern for me, going into these last 2 preseason games is who's going to be that 3rd and 4th inside linebacker. We know where we're really young there, inexperienced there from a linebacker standpoint. Also, who's going to end up being that number 2 corner until Jeff Okudah come back. And like I mentioned just earlier, is the fact that swing tackle and depth on the offensive line is probably another concern. So guys, what we expect to see this preseason game, we'll get into that on tomorrow when I talk about my expectations for this upcoming preseason game. We'll be going live, so guys, be on the lookout for that. But overall, good practice. You can see the getting reps in. Desmond Ridder starting to look good, even better. Defense starting to take shape. We saw Jesse Bates wearing number 3. Couldn't wait to get that number he wore in college. Hope it pays dividends for him. And then last but not least, we'll get to see all our guys out there this coming Friday and see what they're able to do. So guys, let me know what you think about the release of, like I said, Mr. Motivation himself, Frank Darby. The addition of a guy like Bless Austin. Does he have a chance to crack this 53-man squad? Maybe he get on the practice squad. And any concerns that you have in the depth in the offensive line, like me, and any other competitions that you still you're wondering about. So that's all I have today. This is your boy Ricondo, coming back at you with another video. Peace.